Hi everyone, my name is Vincent and I'm excited to welcome you today into our Lucky Duck studio. In the past, thanks to your support, we have been able to create amazing digital hybrid games like Chronicles of Crime and Destinies. Today, I'm excited to present to you our latest digital hybrid game, Divinus. In Divinus, ancient Greece is being invaded by the pantheon of Northern gods. A fierce clash is about to begin between the gods and a new pantheon will be formed from the ashes. The prophet Pythia foresees that one person of great power, a new Divinus, will ascend and claim a seat among the gods. Divinus is a competitive, legacy, digital hybrid board game for 2 to 4 players that features both a campaign and an infinitely replayable game mode. Every campaign scenario will start with you opening a sealed box with new quests, stickers, gods, game rules, and much more. You'll combine your dice to explore new lands, expand your demigods map, and complete quests. As you play, you'll permanently change your copy of Divinus by adding scannable stickers representing locations and characters of mythology. You'll customize your demigod with powerful artifacts and gain impressive titles for performing epic feats. Forging your dice will allow you to influence the odds and gain the most favor from the gods. The Divinus app will also remember your action, and the gods will react accordingly to those who have worshipped or wronged them. For the Divinus app, we have developed a new image recognition technology that allows you to scan components without the need for QR codes. And even after the campaign, you won't be done, as you can play endlessly with the Eternal mode, which uses the components you've altered through the campaign. We're really excited to bring Divinus to you all and can't wait for you to explore all the secrets of this epic clash of the gods.
Hi, welcome to Ella Loves Board Games, and these are 5 things you need to know about Divinus. Number 1. This is a mashup of a tile-laying and app-assisted narrative board game. Just imagine that King Domino and Destinies had a baby. Each player in the game is trying to get promoted from demigod to full-on god by seeking favor with the fighting Greek and Nordic gods. Each god is asking that you fulfill the tasks they set out. For example, Ares wants you to find lands with armies worshipping him. You use your dice in order to take these lands or tiles from the board and fill your own land with them. Now, as you are discovering these tiles, you will encounter locations, places with these stickers. You will use the app to scan or enter numbers on the tiles, and you will encounter events that move the story of Divinus along. Pretty cool. Number 2. Each scenario ramps up from the last one. In the first scenario, you are taught the basic rules of the game. For example, you learn how tiles are placed beside each other. You have to match terrain types before you can put down a tile. You can also overbuild if you're stuck. You also learn that you can take these tiles by using your ready dice. For each die you use, you add or subtract their values to get a total value. Then in scenario 2, you learn how to upgrade your dice. You place dice and match the numbers shown here. When you rest, you then take one of the stickers and place them on the dice you used. Now you have more versatile dice that can let you take the tiles you may need. Number 3. You have 4 characters to choose from. Choose the character of your fantasy dreams. Each character has their own set of huge dice and character box where you put all of your titles and artifacts that you gain when playing the different scenarios. Number 4. Different gods. Each scenario brings new gods into play. Each god brings different goals and rewards. In the first scenario, Gaia will give you Greek pantheon favor, while Ymir will give you Nordic pantheon favor. Number 5. Divinus is a digital hybrid legacy game. From hearing the story that is affected by the choices you make, to tracking the favor from the Greek and Nordic gods you're trying to appease, most of what you do in the game involves the app. As you play through the different scenarios, you will be putting stickers that change your dice, the board, and the rulebook permanently. And those are the 5 things you need to know about Divinus. Again, this is Ella. See you next time.
Hello everybody, it's Az here with Lucky Duck Games, joined this evening by the wonderful, to my left, Philippe. Hello, sir.
Hello, Az. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today, sir? Thank you for joining me at 9 o'clock your time, right?
Yep, it's 9 o'clock.
I'm keeping you up.
Pleasure is all mine.
Usually board game designers, I assume you go to bed very early to let those brains of yours relax from all the number crunching.
Yeah, for sure. Like usually 8 p.m. Not.
Well, thank you so much for staying up with us. Hello, everybody in chat. Twin says Wookie. Hold on. I don't know. He's far more attractive than me, Wookie. Don't you think? Look at that smile. Look at that. Sue says hello. Hello, Aslan Philippe.
Hello.
There's Matt from Board Game Shot. Matt, stick around. You'll be seeing some of your own work later. Blackwing Bird, hello, Bree. Nice to see you. Florivo, hello, gentlemen. Nice to see you.
Hello.
You're going to have to forgive me. I don't know if it's the same for you, Philippe, but it is a million. I'm pretty sure it's 1,000,000 degrees Celsius in the UK. Is it the same in Poland?
Quite similar, yeah.
So I'm going to be just sweating buckets, and I've got the lights on now as well. It's just like I'm making my own little sauna in this room. It's great. Mark said, is there a trailer in French possible? At the moment, no, but we will have a French page for Divinus. We'll also have a Polish page as well, so you can read everything about the game before you back it if you like. I hope that Mark got that, and if not, somebody can translate in French for me, because my French is appalling. And hello, that one's on you, Philippe. Can you pronounce
Granatowa.
that one?
Witamy Granatowa. Hello.
See, having a native speaker with me this evening, saving me, as looks like Philippe's evil twin. I'm okay with that. I can live with that. Arthur says, hi. As we know for a fact, your chair is comfy. I have exactly the same. You have good taste. My chair is epically comfy, I can confirm. And hello, David. Hello, fellow ducks. All right.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. So what are we doing this evening? I mean, I call it an interview. It's not really going to be an interview. It's going to be me chatting to my good friend Philippe, who I have not seen in person since February last year.
Yeah, I think so.
March last year, maybe?
Since campaign of Millennium, Chronicles of Climb Millennium.
Right, which was March last year. So it's been at least 16 months.
Year and a half, yeah?
Yeah. And it's gonna be another couple of months, but I'm looking forward to seeing you hopefully in September.
That has to happen.
Cannot wait. But until then, we have Divinus launching on GameFound in 1 week on the 27th of July.
That's true. No pressure at all.
No pressure. Let's just ask you to design a tile laying, dice manipulating, digital hybrid app driven with narrative sprinkled on top legacy game for crowdfunding. You've got this, right?
Yep. I got it covered. No problem.
So I think, to be honest,
it's not as easy, honestly, right? But we're gonna talk a little bit about that.
And do you know what? I want to talk a little bit about you first. I know you released your first part of your designer diary on Board Game Geek, and we'll talk a bit about that later. But so anyone who doesn't know you or doesn't know your work, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do day to day?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Philip. I play with Purple. I like cooperative games if there's a traitor mechanism and I'm the traitor. So
okay.
I'm the designer by heart. And currently from 3 years and a half, I'm privileged to work in Lucky Duck Games in a position called head of studio. So I work with wonderful group of very talented and creative people, and we create games. So that's me.
Yeah, and it's funny because anyone that might know Lucky Duck Games, like we have lots of games, of course, in our catalog in English, French, and Polish. But we also have our own studio, which is made up of artists, writers, pro software developers, and of course game designers, play testers, and developers in that front as well. So you have a lot of people under your remit that you're looking after and helping to create our games. And you've had a hand in how many different games now for Lucky Duck? At least like 6 or 7, if not more, right?
Yeah, so taking into account all the projects, the ones that are almost done and the ones that were just started, like cooking new designs, so it would be 7, I think.
Wow, that's awesome. So I won't start now because everyone who's watching knows I love a good spoiler. We'll come to that towards the end of the show. And the way I know Philippe as the English marketing director, I'm the guy that bothers Philippe with all your amazing ideas. Every time someone comments on Board Game Geek or comments on a YouTube video, I'm like, hey guys, can't we do this? And they're like, budgets, printing, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, we'll make it work. And I'm the thorn in the designer's sides, but a happy one most of the time.
Yeah, that's a huge help and huge impact. It's very important, actually we work a lot with feedback, with players'
Hmm.
feedback. We really try to follow and digest all the feedback that we see online, that we hear from our backers, from players. It's really crucial. It's really
Yeah.
crucial for us in the creative process, and especially the feedback that at first sight seems to not be very positive, or maybe like it's difficult to understand why something is like not not being found perfect or great by our players. Is usually the most important and valuable feedback. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
it's not unknown for us to take feedback and find the people who have given it and really drill into it with them, and even have them come and do some work with us at points. I know that's happened a couple of times since I've been with Lucky Duck over the last year and a half, and I love to see it, because as someone who loves crowdfunding and obviously loves running campaigns, listening to backer feedback is a hugely rewarding thing a lot of the time.
yeah, for sure. There are at least few cases then the whole boxes, the whole add-ons or expansions on our campaigns
Mm-hmm.
were really developed and added because of super valuable feedback of our backers. So
My favorite one was from the Elemental Uprising campaign, where we had the dragon meeple, and the backers were like, "This needs to be a mini," and I was like, "Right, this needs to be a mini," and I'm like, "Game designers, this needs to be a mini," and they're like, "Oh, okay, let's see if we can make it a mini," and we did. And
yeah,
sometimes you just have to say, "Yeah, hello, Baz. Sort, you're very, very welcome. Don't worry, you're welcome anytime at all."
yeah, but there are some like even bigger examples.
Mhm.
To name just one, the whole Bound by Fate expansion in Destiny, so 2 versus 2 player mode, is literally because people asked for it, and we worked really hard even during campaign to like start developing it and playtest it, and check is it possible, because initially we did not believe it's possible, but we challenged ourselves. We got challenged by our backers, and it was
Mhm.
super valuable for the game as a whole. So
That's super incredible. I absolutely adore to hear those stories. And obviously, Divinus will be coming to Green Gamefire next Tuesday. And we're going to talk about some of the tough questions we've had, because already we've been sharing Divinus for a couple of weeks now. We're starting to see Board Game Co., Hungry Gamer, Man vs. Meeple, Ella starting to share footage and gameplay and their first impressions of just the first 2 scenarios from the 12 scenario campaign. And we're already every day looking at feedback. What are people asking for? What are people looking for? Can we do it? Can we not? And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that later on as we get into it.
yeah, sure.
I think before we finally jump into Divinus, I have one more question, because we often get this. I think it's really an interesting thing to ask anytime I have a designer or someone from the industry on for a chat, is how you got your first step. What was your introduction into either game design or just the industry in general, whichever one you think is the biggest factor?
Okay. I'm afraid it's kind of ancient history now. It was like 15 years ago. So I started designing first games. My first published game was Little Insurgents. It was published by Egmont Poland. And then I did a couple of games. One of the very important personally for me was Magnum Sal, did with my friend Marcin Krupinski, like a proper Euro game, worker placement. And I did a couple of like light family and children games. And then a few years later, I joined Grana, so Polish publisher and manufacturer. And I spent wonderful 5 years there, learning a lot and working on several designs. Probably most important were CV and Warsaw City of Ruins, originally Capital.
Yep.
And so I also worked for several years as a game designer, also doing game design for companies and NGO organizations outside of our industry, as a learning tools, as a kind of like promotional tools. And like the huge and very important part is of this was Monsoon Group. So actually, like the first and I think still biggest Polish informal group gathering designers, Polish designers and playtesters, which is great initiative happening in Warsaw. So Lots of great and super talented designers coming from there. Like some of them because they work with us, like Michał Gołębiowski, Wojtek Grajkowski. So
that's incredible. I
yeah.
didn't know actually all of that. So thank you so much for sharing it. And it's wonderful to hear that you have so much history and in so many different areas that like really shows how you've built up to this head of studio role. I absolutely adore it. Okay. Let's get into talk about some Destinies. I see some people asking questions. Please do ask some questions in chat. We're going to have a little talk about Destinies and the overview. And I'm going to pick Philip's brain a little bit, but then I'm going to come back to everyone's questions. I'm going to dig into some of those details. So please, whether you're Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, fire a comment in there. I'd be very, very welcome. So one of the first things you did today, and it's amazing, and I love it, is you've shared the first part of your developer diary on Board Game Geek. We talked about this being like a 4-part thing. We were going to talk about Divinus, and we're going to talk about the app and the things that make it what it is and why it's so unique. But you started looking way back to 2017 when you were first prototyping, first coming up with the game before we even talked about you being with Lucky Duck or you being Legacy. So what was that like looking back to 4 years ago? And how has the game kind of evolved without spoiling too much? Because I know you've got more dev diaries to come.
Yeah, sure. It's exciting and also funny to look like so long way back. Divinus is one of these games that really have a long history of development, and really it was quite unusual because like the base system, as I described it in this first part of the diary, was really created very fast and was really fast, like a working prototype.
Yeah.
And I was sure from the very beginning, like the base system is really cool and really strong. But we spent a lot of work and like actually few huge iterations of like completely rebuilding the system or looking for a perfect bigger picture how to incorporate this game system into very good game, very good product. So there were like few chapters of it. Today I just described the very first one, but it was a very, very interesting process and a lot of creative work also with our great team and our internal developers. So I talk about it more in next chapters.
I must admit, I find it really rewarding when I read your developer diary for the first time, and you talked about Splendor, and you talked about making a game that really focused and harnessed in on very, very, very few mechanisms that were really tight and gave a really rewarding gameplay experience. And I must admit, as I've started to have reviewers start to feel the game and get a feeling for those, they're really light, they're really entry. Everyone can kind of understand the idea of rolling your dice, combining them together, using them to then explore and trade tile or grab tiles and then place them into your tableau. The core mechanisms are so simple but so concise. It's wonderful. And then when you start to sprinkle on the legacy and start to sprinkle on the narrative and the changing components every single scenario, it's really, really epic. And to be honest, I personally have really enjoyed seeing where you started right at initial, just those mechanics, and you've got that game working, and then starting to build on top of that, rather than saying, we want to build legacy immediately, we want to build digital hybrid immediately. And I think that's one of the reasons I think Divinus is being received so warmly. So like all my praise and all my love for that.
Thank you so much, As. I think what was crucial is that it took us a lot of time to really look for a perfect match with like a bigger system, with this initial idea and initial mechanisms, because what's really crucial for us is to not just build on top of it or to like, okay, let's now add some DEM or now just add something that app could do to support it. No, it's like about working very hard to really make these things perfectly click together. Like, so to find other elements of the system which like are possibly really interwoven with this base mechanisms. So.
Yeah, and taking what you guys have learned from Chronicles of Crime, from Destinies, and then from the Millennium series and all these games, and then starting to bring it in, it shows that you haven't just laid that on top, that it is working right there with the core mechanics. The first time that I got to stick a location sticker down and know I'm coming back to that later was super rewarding, like really, really enjoyable. So
great, thank you.
when we talk a little bit, actually, what I should do, just in case anyone wants to read it, let me just share. If you want to check out Philippe's dev diary after the stream, the first part you'll find here. It's just on the Divinus forum over on Board Game Geek. You can read the first part, and there's going to be 3 more of those, so 4 in total coming over the coming days. So, do you know what? I'm going to jump forward a little bit, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about the legacy specifically. So we know that there's going to be stickers. So can you just give us a very brief overview of why stickers and why is that important for legacy and how are they kind of implemented in the game?
Yeah, so we have a lot of stickers in Divinus, and actually 2 completely different types of stickers, like manufacturing-wise, because one type are the stickers that will gonna be removed at some point in the campaign on purpose to support this after campaign like endless mode. But all other stickers that are in the game are permanent. And a very strong reason for that is that to really create like a real legacy experience, and this is especially important with the role that the app plays in our game, to really create a lot of moments when you really feel your impact as a player, that your copy of Divinus at the end of this campaign, when you enter this endless mode, will be completely different than your friend's copy, because they made really a lot of different decisions. And also what's crucial is that really the stickers play such a role in the game that you really that location stickers are a good example, because you as a demigod, you have really a huge impact on the world of this game. So we create new places, you destroy some places, your decisions make like people of Greece, Vikings, so build new stuff, and basically a lot of their changes. And what you do is that in the next scenarios, you're able to visit these places. So it works a little bit like points of interest in Destinies. And what happens there really depends on so many various things. So who was the player who actually helped to build this structure? Who is exploring or visiting this space now? Is this demigod favorite of the Pantheon, which is connected with this specific location? What decisions you did make in previous scenarios when you were interacting with gods? And to really make players feel that, okay, I really changed something, we need the stickers to be permanent too. And also second big area of that, where stickers play a crucial role, is the pure legacy aspect and the development of your demigod, of your playable character. You can really, because of 2 main types of stickers, so dice stickers when you're forging your dice, and with artifacts. So we have these demigod tag boxes, which you use. They have both functions. Basically, you store your like personal stuff, your dice, and other elements inside between the games. But during the game, actually, all sides of it play some role, because you receive artifacts which give you like a special asymmetric powers. So you can really tailor your demigod towards your idea, your strategy, the way you want to play and experience Divinus.
And I think there's a couple of things. I'm going to share something that Philippe told me today for the first time. I didn't actually realize this, because I was questioning him about gameplay, especially after my own game when I played it. Because like, one thing you revealed to me is that you will be destroying stickers at points. Sites may not survive forever. And I personally, this is a tiny spoiler, but the gameplay is starting to be out there for the first 2 scenarios, so I don't mind sharing just a little bit. But I built a location in the first scenario, and I revisited it during the second scenario, and I had a triumphant return, and it was like a feast was held. And I was called Wise. There's a screenshot of it. It actually happened. And then you told me today, well, locations, they might not always be around. It is legacy and it's stickers. And I was like, oh, no. I like those people. They know me. They've talked to me. I got a bonus when I went there. You made it real. And I was like, I never thought about not just building, but also the destruction and the war that's going to come over the whole 12 scenario campaign and what that's going to mean for the legacy. I think I'll have to stop at scenario 2. My emotions can't take it. The other thing,
He will manage somehow.
Well, I'll be fine.
I'm sure.
The chat always sees me through. Chat is always here to carry me through my tough moments. Oh, Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising, you're going to be a big challenge. The other thing you mentioned, obviously, was there's 2 different types of stickers. So there's the permanent will not be changed, and that's very, very much on purpose. We have a lot of people asking us, can they be removed? Can they be taken away? Can I replace them? Can I buy a recharge pack? And we'll get into that a little bit later. But the idea is that, no, we're really giving you a campaign experience that you're going to be fixing on to make your copy of Divinus unique and your story unique, supported by the narrative of the app and the decisions that you make in the game. The second type of the stickers, though, are these ones that we've seen if you followed us before. We used them on the Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising campaign. We're going to be using them for that game. And these are these vacuum seal stickers that have no residue, no glue, nothing at all, essentially, between the sticker and the surface, because they use an air seal technology. And we're going to be using those for the dice. So just as Philippe mentioned, that dice forging will allow you to remove those stickers nice and clean to preserve your absolutely massive Divinus dice. And that's because of the Eternal mode. So do you want to talk just a little bit?
Maybe not only because of the Eternal mode, maybe there's something more. Maybe there will be some more modes that you can really enjoy playing Divinus. And I guess that might be needed for that purpose.
I absolutely, he's as good as me. I absolutely adore it. I'm not going to talk about that for at least a couple more days. So when it comes to removing the stickers and it comes to the Eternal mode, the intention is to make it replayable, as you would with any normal board game, but with your custom tiles. Is that right?
Yeah, with actually a lot of variability and replayability. And also what's really important to us to give you, I will continue on that spoiler just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Don't you steal my spoilers too much.
We really heard you guys that it's important because the legacy experience is really cool, but it's also involvement, right? So you need to have the group of people that you're able and you can play with to go through entire campaigns. So we really were very focused on this endless mode to allow you to play this game after the campaign, but we also preparing some stuff for you to allow you to play Divinus in some other modes in the middle of the legacy campaign. So let's imagine that you play with your main group of geek buddies, but there you want to just experience Divinus, show it to someone else, some of other groups. So that's exactly our plan, to allow you to do it and really, really enjoy this game in various game modes.
I think we can say one thing for sure. We can reveal the fact that the main game board is going to be double-sided.
Yeah, it is. Indeed.
And that's going to allow you to do somewhat of what Philippe is hinting to there. And also allow you to, if you want to have a second group, you want to break away from the main campaign, a little bit of flexibility in doing that. We've also heard requests for, can you have more dice? That's also something we're looking into doing and making sure that's part of the campaign. So if you're really someone who cannot wait until your campaign is done, you absolutely want to play a bunch of different things during the campaign, you want to play with a different group, we're going to make sure that that's possible by having the extra dice in there. Because when it comes to what would be changed in Divinus, it's really everything. So if we were to have a recharge pack, so much of the core components would have to be remade. It basically makes doing a recharge pack per se nearly completely pointless, because we're really only keeping the dice. So what we're doing is going to have that main game board right in the main box, double-sided for you, for what Philippe's talking about and a little bit more, but you're going to have to stick around to the campaign before we can talk about that too much. So one thing what we've talked around a little bit, and again, this is on the topic of legacy, is the scenario boxes. So with the reviewer copies that are now out there, we've given 2 scenarios from the main campaign that is 12 long. Can you give us a little bit more information? We know there's going to be gods in there. There's going to be quests in there. There's going to be some stickers in there. What other kind of things could we expect to find without giving anything massive away?
Yeah, so basically gods and quests are like 2 very important parts of the game. So they're strictly connected with specific scenarios. So quests drive they interact a lot with what's going on in the app, and they support the narrative part. And together with location stickers, they actually our medium in this game to allow to tell the story and to engage players with the story. What's important, like Divinus is not a story-driven games as we understand this term when we, for example, compare it to Destinies, where actually the game is 80% of story and up to 20% of game mechanism. Here, I'd say that it's rather other way around, though the story is still very important and it's incorporated to the game. But to follow up on the scenario boxes, there will be also other elements. So I think
you could share a little bit.
We can talk about two for sure. So two elements that are not part of these preview copies in these first two scenarios. Very important elements are mythical creatures, so monsters, and heroes. So that's going to be two elements represented in the base game as wooden meeples that will play a very important and big role in many of the scenarios of Divinus.
It's something I want to touch upon. Something you said initially there, where the game is very much mechanically driven. It's far more technical. With Destiny's with 80% story, 20% game, this is far more weighted the other way. And I think depending on the player, you can't ignore the narrative. Narrative's there. It's going to happen. You're going to be engaged in the story, but you don't necessarily have to make your decisions narratively based. If you'd like to make them more mechanically based, more focused on gaining favor with a specific faction or working towards your strategy, you'll be able to do that. Or if you're going to have a little bit of that narrative, a little bit of that role play, and a little bit of your, like I probably would, that softness where you really want to learn a bit more about the world and protect the people or build the fort, whatever it may be, you're going to have that option there. So I think this is going to allow your mechanical gamers and those who like mechanics, but also like a little bit of that narrative to really enjoy it in the best way that engages them. And that's what I've found from my first two playthroughs. With regards to the story, actually, and so we're obviously focusing on the clash between the Norse and the Vikings. We've only seen really the opening skirmishes. If anyone has seen the end of the second scenario, there really is something epic there. I don't want to say anything more than that, but it's epic. Can you tell us any more about your ideas for the rest of the world building around Divinus?
Yeah, for sure. So basically in Divinus, we have like three forces. So two main forces are Greek and Norse pantheons. And the third one are barbarian tribes who also appear there from the very beginning. And actually their role is completely unclear at the very beginning, even to the prophet Pythia, who's like helping us on our journey. And there will be, indeed, the whole main campaign is built in such a fashion that in each scenario we have new pair of opposing gods from two opposing pantheons entering the scene, and usually these gods are somehow mirrored. So basically they're gods who are in some regards very similar, in some regards very different, but from two opposing pantheons. And they clash. They have very kind of conflict. It's not always like the military conflict or the war, but they have like a very strong interactions, and player as demigods really are influencing this clash. So they really have to choose. They have to pick sides and then live with the consequences of these choices. But I think what's really cool in this, like a bigger plot of Divinus, the part I really like is actually the question, why the Norse gods, why the Norse pantheon left north and appeared in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
And that's really the area that we're exploring. And I think there might be a prequel, maybe some kind of expansion that will tell this story, what actually happened at the far north, and maybe players would not be just demigods. Maybe they will play the role of real Nordic gods there. I'm not sure yet, but I think Might happen.
Chat's going to make me bring you back whenever Philippe's here. We're getting all the information. So yes, because I mean, to be honest, it raises the question: why have more people in writing and in history and in games? Why have we not seen combative pantheons happening before? And I think the fact that we're addressing it with Divinus, but then also they're talking about this prequel that's going to talk about, well, here, hold on, how did we actually get here? Because Divinus picks up as literally the Viking ships are arriving on the shores and the demigod is thrust as the barbarians don't know what to do with these warring gods, and the people are arriving and they're looking for settlements and fortifications and support. But why? And the fact that we're going to explore that some more, I think, is going to be epic. I'm not going to say anything more right now. I'm going to hold back. You've said already enough, I think.
Okay.
So I'm going to get into the nitty gritty with some real tough questions now. I'm going to go back into chat. I've got a few questions lined up. Wookie, this is not a question, but this is, look at the games these days. It's probably my favorite studio. Is your games always get grades from 7 to 9, but there's no 10 among them. I'm counting on Destinies or Divinus. Oh, wow. Wookie, throwing down the challenge. You should play Destinies, and then you should play Divinus for sure. and hey, fingers crossed you find that 10 eventually. That would be amazing. Baz says, please tell me my fave god Apollo is in the game.
Baz, you won't be disappointed.
Good answer. Good answer. Let's see. If I scroll down. Okay, Alex had a question. The Eternal game, after 12 plays campaign, will it allow new players, if the campaign was only played by 2, and maybe 2 additional new players wants to play this Eternal mode? So, I mean, I'll let you answer, Philippe, but essentially, yes, they're separate things.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. So you can play the player count that you experience the main campaign with has absolutely no impact on how many players you can enjoy the Eternal mode. Also, what's I think is important that during the campaign it's also possible to drop players if it happens that one of the players leaves your group from some reason. You can, for example, start playing with 4, then limit it to 3, or start playing with 3 and at some point limit it to 2 players only. So it's possible.
Perfect. Wikio said, Philip, is tile placement your favorite mechanism or just the simplest one? I like a bit of tile placement.
Yeah, I like it. I think it really creates a lot of design space. It allows you to be very creative. So I think there's still some new cool things that can be found there. It's not like, it was done with Carcassonne, so I like it a lot. Yeah, but probably not the only favorite. I also love many card mechanisms like deck building and hand management. But yeah, I like
card drafting as a special place in my heart. I love it. And Battlecry knows exactly why the Vikings are invading the Greeks. It's because all the dollar stores in the Vikings lands closed, so they had to move. There's going to be an entire prequel story all about that, I hope. So I had some more questions from the comments over on the GameFound page. We, of course, have the preview page up. If you haven't followed it, I'm sure every single one of you here has. But if you haven't followed it, if you do, you'll get €5 for free to use in the campaign. So in the next week, follow the campaign page. Even if you don't buy the game, it's worth doing. We've had a bunch of comments over there. We've had some comments on Board Game Geek as well. So here come some super tough, really hard questions, Philippe. Strap yourself in. Right. First things first, the mechanics for Divinus are fairly family-friendly. They're quite light to get into. Will the narrative and the theme continue in the same line? So is it also going to be appropriate for families? What's the age range? And can you shed some light?
Yeah, sure. So we really want it because one of the main promises of Divinus and like one of the main goals we had in mind when we were developing the game is to make it very, very accessible. So the way we think and we build the complexity of the game, because it's a legacy game, so there will be like the first scenario is super simple, but there will be many, many other elements added during your journey with it. But really our approach is that we want to add like the space for many, many small decisions of players, and we want to add more elements. So basically this, like the whole point salad is richer and richer, and you have like more ways to pick your strategy. But we definitely do not want to add many layers of complexity to make the game really, really difficult to start playing. So and also the theme is quite serious to some regard, but there's nothing like really drastic or brutal. So we really want to keep it very accessible and also allow families to play together. So I think like 12 years old board game geek should be definitely able to enjoy Divinus and play it together.
And I think, because, yeah, it's difficult. We're talking about gods clashing, and we are talking about a mythical war. Sometimes it will be combative, sometimes it'll be militaristic, but other times it will be more, well, other different things, more peaceful, more about the political side of it, more about the land and these things that are not necessarily
lots of adventures, like a lot of amazing places. In many scenarios, we kind of like took this very creative approach to like retelling some of the very well-known Greek and Nordic myths. So you will meet a lot of figures like heroes, like gods that you know from Greek and Norse mythology, but you really will have the chance to, by your choices, the way you forge this narrative, to really change the outcome of many of these myths that you know so well.
So that's hopefully that answers the question. If this ever gets watched later by the person that commented, I unfortunately didn't take a note of their name. Another main thing we've had quite a lot of questioning about, and I want to touch on it just very briefly, is that when it comes to crowdfunding campaigns, one of the most, especially on Kickstarter and on GameFound, one of the most sought after gameplay elements is, can I play it solo? It's very, very, very popular with a lot of dungeon crawlers, a lot of games that involve expansive big campaigns. And while Divinus has a campaign and it is very much about the tile laying and the competitive nature, we're not putting a solo mode in. Can you talk a little bit just about the decisions there?
Yeah, sure. So it's a well thought decision. Basically, what's really important are like two aspects of Divinus as a game system. So first of all, it's competitive, and there's like a lot going on. So it's not only competition between players to win the game, but the heart of the Divinus system and the story we tell in this game is this conflict between pantheons. And there's a lot of decisions that you make that really influence how the both pantheons react to you, but also how they react to your opponents. So, and the good reference here is, again, Destinies. What we learned from developing the solo modes, actually more than one.
Two different solo modes,
yeah. For Destinies, that when the story is really important part of the game, which is not just put on top or act as a kind of beautiful environment for the mechanics itself, but it's really important factor in the game. It's very, very difficult, I think, to go this way to create any form of AI that will take care of all these decisions possibly made by your opponents, because we lose like this whole level like of real interaction based on emotions, based off what we remember from the previous quests, previous interactions with the world. So what we did in Destinies, like we're sure, okay, we do not want to do like the AI opponent in Destinies that would try to like push their destiny and make like tons of really anthematic choices, just going following like the path of even very good AI to do optimal things. But then we would really lose this feel of real human opponent, like a human being with their emotions and feelings and making these decisions, because we really seen that during the playtesting, that these moments are one of the best in Divinus when we have this kind of interaction and emotions between players. So that was like the two main reasons that we really did not see it possible to design a solo mode for Divinus.
And I will tell you right now, I will tell chat, because Philippe knows this well. I will raise my hand and say for about a month and a half, 2 months, I bothered Philippe and I bothered Tomash in the game development team. And I said, can we solo mode, solo mode, solo mode, solo mode, solo mode? And we talked about it a lot. We went back and forth over it. When I played it, and as I mentioned before, specifically the second scenario, there was a couple of points where some really kind of game mechanics met narrative, met story, met something that was going to cause ramifications for the next 10 times I played that game. And I think you hit the nail on the head where you said if it was just going to be an AI deck that just did that, it would take the human, it would take the story, it would take the feeling away. And I, now having played it, went, yeah, I'm 100% with you now. I think it's the right decision. And I think, yes, some people love a solo game, and unfortunately Divinus won't have it, so it might not be a game for them in the end. I think it is the right thing for the best Divinus experience. And I really think when people play it, they will get that feeling as well. I fully believe it.
Yeah. The crucial thing is, I'm always sorry when we cannot deliver the type of experience that some of our players and backers really seek for in gaming. But the truth is that I'm pretty sure that after this whole research and development, that the solo mode in Divinus would really not deliver the experience as we see our goal to deliver this level of experience to you as a player. So we really think that it would not be fair to offer you something that would really not hit this level.
Yeah, and thank you for exploring and talking about that more, because I think it really helps to fill out the full picture and show that we are listening. And when we see a good idea and it's something we can do, we love jumping on it. When we can't, we don't just brush it aside. We still talk about it. We still acknowledge it and see if it's possible and if it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then we'll keep it for a future plan, for a future game. So let's talk a bit about something we haven't really spoken about too much, which is the app. So when you're looking at playing Divinus, it's very much part of what Lucky Duck Games as a studio were doing. We're doing our digital hybrid board games. Started off with Chronicles of Crime. You had the Noir and Welcome to Red for your expansions. You've also then had all 3 games in the Millennium series, 1400, 1900, and 2400. You've had Destinies now as well, and now we have Divinus. And what is it about the app and that digital hybrid nature of Divinus that's going to engage people? What are they going to expect?
Yeah, sure. So the app is crucial here, and I will definitely tell you more about that in, I think, third part of the designer diary. But it would really be impossible to have this approach to telling the story in the competitive, mostly Euro game without the app. To give you an example, the app really tracks everything. So all of your choices, but also what and how you scored favor in the first, second, third, every scenario, what decisions did you make, who was the player that actually added some new locations or opened new location, who was the player who explored and visited this location in the second scenario, then make some choices. It would be truly impossible to make it even with a very fat scenario book. To give you an example, even in the second scenario of the main campaign, when you visit one of the locations, the possible outcome of your interaction there consists of 9 different strings of text, which, based on these variables, appear there or not. And it's not that you have the 9 separate versions, because in the scenario book we could point players to one of the 9, but actually the full experience of this location that you receive is built from several of these 9 possibilities based on your previous choices. And it's only the second scenario of the campaign when you actually did not make a lot of these choices yet, but all of them matters. So it's really an amazing tool to deliver the narrative exactly on point and to incorporate all important decisions that you made before. Second, I think very important role of an app in this game is also to simplify a lot for you as players, to take away the painful maintenance aspects, the setup. When you finish the game, you need to, okay, in many even great legacy games that do not have the app.
We've all filled
Sometimes
in
it's okay. Now
big...
we go to this list on the last page of the rulebook. Okay, so now there's just 13 steps that we need to go through to like finish the scenario. So the app helps a lot because the app just tells you, the app knows what actually you did in this scenario. So we do not need to ask you, okay, what happened with this element, with this goal? If this goal had been fulfilled, you should put it back or destroy the card. If not, you do the other thing, because the app already knows. So the app, you just click next. The app tells you, do this with this component, do that with that component. The app knows if there's no need to do something with the specific component. So it simplifies a lot for the players. So our goal is to tailor the app for this game to really make your life easier, to make it more accessible to play the game, to experience the game, and really focus on fun, on playing, not on maintenance, right? So
my favorite, very simple example of that, that example you've just given between scenarios, is when the game was like, by the way, Az, you might not have done very well in this scenario, but here's the first player marker, and you can have it in your tuck box for the next one. And I was like, thank goodness, I need that help. I was like, thanks, app. One thing we didn't talk about at all there, and I don't want to go into it too much, but it's interesting to people who are into the technology. We are doing a game that has scannable stickers, but we're doing it without QR codes. We are doing it with this image recognition technology, where Marcin, our techno director, has basically trained, and it's awesome that if you're into how this image recognition technology works, it's absolutely wonderful. Training an AI to recognize stickers. So you will be able to scan stickers, and also you can simply input their number into the app as well if that's quicker or easier for you. What's that been like, as a game designer, to kind of get rid of QR codes and bring stickers in? What was the driving force behind pushing for that?
Here in Divinus, it's crucial because actually, we use QR codes with, I think, quite good result in both Chronicles of Crime and Destinies, and they work great there, but they're used on the cards. And here we have a tile which is 60 by 60 millimeters, and on a tile we already can have like 3 different types of terrain. We can have several faction icons, and then we want to put their location, and it cannot be huge. And also, if it would be a QR code, it would cover like 1/4 of this tile, completely ruining the aesthetics of it. And also, we would need to have a second indicator, still have the visual indicator beside the QR code to actually give players good idea what type of location is that. So with these icons, it's really cool because they're aesthetically much more beautiful than the QR code. That was not the hard part, right? To make it happen. But also, you really see the location. You immediately recognize this because maybe you built this location in the previous scenario, or one of your opponents did. But you can immediately grasp, okay, what it is about, and just think about, okay, do I want to go there now, or maybe later, or maybe I let my opponents go there. But it's again, it makes your life easier. Yeah. So it's again the same very important goal for us.
And this is like an extra level that probably was not a consideration whenever you decided to make this design choice. But as a player, when I go to my sticker sheet and I go, okay, tick number 3, and I go 1, 2, 3, I'm kind of looking at the ones I just skipped and going, oh, what choices did I miss? Why am I not getting that one and that one? And I'm placing this one and going, oh. And you wouldn't get that with the QR code, as you said, because you're getting with the icon just enough flavor and just enough information and just enough recognizable image there, which is great. And Bree in chat actually had a question. She says, I'm excited about the scannable stickers that don't have QR codes on them. Do you have more game designs in mind to use them now that you have an app that can do it?
We do have some ideas indeed, but all of them are in so early stages of development that it's really not the topic I can cover. But yeah, indeed, for us, what's crucial is to look for like really new, exciting ways to use technology in our games to create new, unique experience. So it's this kind of like research and development approach is very important for us as a studio.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Philippe, Andrew has a suggestion that says Lucky Duck Games should hide some scannable icons or images in the game. It would be a cool Easter. I'm not going to lie. I'm not letting that one go. I'm going to be bringing that one back up later. Everyone will be scanning the outside of the box and the inside of the box and into the rule book. You'll be scanning things, just looking to find that Philippe Lewinsky initials hidden in there like a 1970s Atari or 1980s Atari game. I would love that. I'm going to keep that one, Andrew. I'm not going to let that one go. I'm going to remind the development team about that in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much. Great idea.
So something you mentioned earlier on that as we're opening up all the scenario boxes, every time you're going to play, you're going to pop it open, you're going to get some components. And you mentioned for the first time, because we haven't shown them at all, that there will be some monsters and some heroes. And what form are they going to take?
For the base game, we go for wooden meeples, but there will be an option to upgrade your experience to miniatures. I think that probably could be a good idea. I hope Lucky Ducks will do it to actually allow players to choose how they want to experience this part of game. We know that for some players, minis are absolutely crucial. It's something fantastic that really boosts the experience. And at the same time, there's a group of players that prefer to just have meeples, and they love this kind of approach. So why not both, as my favorite gift says? So we want to give both possibilities.
That is your favorite gift, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I use it a lot. Also, people in the team makes jokes about that. But yeah. I love choices, and I love giving choice to people, like also in games, but also in like in life when we work together, when we cooperate. So I think that choice
is the spice of life. Yeah, I mean
that's important. So we also want to give you this choice, which is the way that you prefer to enjoy Divinus in.
So I did cheat. I didn't know Philippe was going to be so full of spoilers this evening, but I did prep a couple of spoilers for myself because I do love a spoiler. And Philippe's exactly right. The base game will have meeples that you're going to uncover. We will not show them all on the campaign because we really don't want to give everything away. But if you're into your Greek mythology, you're into your heroes and heroines, and you're into your monsters, you're going to have a good feeling for what you're going to expect, and you'll see some on there. If you're very much into it and you like your minis, as Philippe mentioned, we are going to have a few. I don't want you to talk about them too much because obviously we don't want to give anything away, but you can maybe tell us their names. Even that much might be a bit. Who's this?
Yeah, I think this one might be a guy that's had an issue with some kind of labyrinth. Maybe. I heard that he kind of solved this issue at the end, but how it will play out in your version, your personal copy of Divinus, how you will tell the story is really up to you. Yeah, but hello, Theseus.
And this is gorgeous. I adore this. And especially in a game which has so much water and plains and mountains to explore. Can you tell us just a little bit about this mini?
Yeah, actually one of the working titles for Divinus like 2 years ago in another stage of development was Odyssea. And so that's Odysseus, who will be very, very important.
Can we share the story about why it's not called Odyssea anymore? Because behind closed doors, every single email, chat conversation, task that was added to the team, folder that was created, artwork that was made, had a different spelling of Odyssea.
Yeah.
And I loved that name. Odyssea was a great name, but my goodness, could we spell it? No, we couldn't.
Yeah.
So now
that was tough. Yeah, I think it was the right call to change this name to Divinus.
And I do love Divinus. My heart will also always go out to Odyssea. I really do. And Fleur Evil says it's not like with Lords of Hellas / Ragnarok, Mythic Battle Pantheon / Ragnarok. I have enough minis. Bring it, baby. Well, we will say this is a game on a different scale to what you might expect with Mythic Battles, which are obviously massive skirmish game, huge minis. It's probably more actually in line with the Lords of Hellas and Ragnarok, where you're seeing a whole continent, a whole kingdom kind of spread out in front of you, and then these minis are going to be having an impact on that. So yeah, I think these will add nicely into what you're already talking about.
Yeah. I think also what's important, and I think we can talk about that. It's not a huge spoiler, but like in Divinus, these meeples and miniatures play a very specific role. So it's not like all the minis like in the Dude on the Maps kind of game that all our units, of course, with very variable abilities, but basically we use them to fight with each other. No, in Divinus, like each mini is a very specific hero, either hero or a monster, and each of them has like a really specific mechanism, which we really work a lot with the intention to make these particular figures shine in the game. Like it's not like, I just use it to keep here until someone kills it, but really there's a new twist, new mechanism, which you discover via these legacy scenario tech boxes that, now we met Theseus, and probably this scenario will look significantly different than the previous ones. And the story of Theseus and the mechanism connected with this miniature or meeple will really make a difference. So that's what we're trying to achieve with these meeples and miniatures.
It sounds like you're having some fun tweaking what actually happened in mythology with this new timeline and new narrative you're creating.
I have a lot of fun with that. It's great.
I'm gonna show just a couple more. I know I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna show just a couple more. Who's this? There we go. This is the Chimera.
Yep.
Right. I don't really. Is there anything you want to say about it? I don't really want to give it away.
No. I think we'll not go into details with this one. Let's just look at it.
And I'm going to finish with this one. These are not to scale, it's worth saying, because this guy, this Hydra, is big. This is a big mini. Oh, Andrew's saying, love the wings. Baz saying, Chimera. Philippe saying, love your energy, Philippe. Oh,
thank you so much, Brie.
I love it. And then this is our Hydra. But as Philippe says, these are not just going to be, we're big fans. Obviously, it's angry as duh. In the morning, I think this is Carolina knows exactly 100%. This is me in the morning before my coffee. Like she's probably had to have a few meetings with Angry As. But these minis will be hugely impactful. They'll be key to the conflict. They'll be key to the scenario that you're playing. They'll be really influential in you deciding the outcome of the stories and the two pantheons. And I think I cannot wait to see what people do with these. I always one thing that surprised me with Kingdom Rush is just how many people took to painting for the first time or painting these gorgeous minis, and I think I'm always really excited to see what our fans and what our community end up doing with these, and seeing minis that are going to be tweaking and changing the outcome of the real mythology stories and these sagas is so epic. It's something so different.
Yep.
So look, everybody in chat, get your questions in now. We're going to look to wrap up shortly because we've just passed the 1 hour mark. So if you have any questions for Philippe about Divinus or about anything at all, please feel free to fire them in. I have a couple of other things I want to ask you. The first one, actually, Carolina is in chat, even though she's outing me. What's your favorite artwork in the game? Is it something that Carolina has done or one of our other artists?
Yeah, so because Carolina is responsible for all these amazing gods and demigods illustrations you will see in Divinus. And my absolute favorite is Goddess Freya.
Okay.
So I really love this illustration. The level of dynamics in his pose, the story that this illustration is telling is absolutely amazing for me. I love this one. Though there are many Too late. Okay, but there are many great ones. I also really love what Matthias achieved with our map tiles. It wasn't an easy task. Believe me, I've been there before. I worked on some tile laying games. It was pointed out before in this chat. But to have these tiles really look beautiful and allow to create a map which really looks like a part of ancient Greece, that doesn't look too like geometric. Like it wasn't an easy task, and I absolutely adore the job that Matthias did here. And I think the third one, sorry, I'm picking a lot. I was supposed to pick just the one.
No, it's okay.
But the background illustration of the main board of this game.
Oh, you would pick one that I don't have ready. Hold on.
Is incredible. I love it. I'm gonna have a huge poster on it on my wall for sure.
I have a massive wall of space behind me. I'm planning something just like that. I was planning on begging Carolina for her to give me permission to cover the wall in her artwork. That's something definitely I'd like to do. And actually, Andrew has a question. As ever, are there any chance of some prints as an add-on, please? I will not even lie to you, Andrew. I had this conversation with Philippe a couple of times. I even mentioned it today once, and I think it's always a matter of two things when it comes to posters. It's a matter of how many people want them, because printing 10 posters is not great, and it's hard to know how many people would really like that. And secondly, it's transporting them safely to you. And unfortunately, big tubes of posters and big posters, especially if they're not folded, because we know if we want to put them on a wall, unfolded is generally where we like to go if they're meant to be something that's not part of the game but is actually simply aesthetic. That's obviously a bit of a concern. It can jump prices. So I would love to say yes, but it's something that at the moment is probably not going to be part of the campaign unless we get a big uproar for it. And so I'm always a fan of big uproars. If anyone has any other questions, fire them away. I have one question for you, sir. If you had to pick one of the two pantheons, if you had to go Greek gods or Norse gods, who are you siding with? Who do you think wins this battle on your tabletop game with your group? Which one's going to come out on top, you think?
That would be difficult choice, but I think at the end I would go with Greeks.
Really?
Really. I love Greek mythology, so I think it would be Greeks at the end.
I think I got to go Vikings. I love my Viking hall. I've got to have my hall, my long ships. I've got to have my mead. I've got to have my long drinking horn. I've got to have my shield. I think it's got to be the Norse for me, man. So we'll have to see.
Let's meet and check who was right in that regard.
Baz says Greeks. Battlecry says playmat with the gods around the outside. Oh, playmats would be cool. We love some near-beam playmats. Our Destiny's playmat and also our Chronicles of Crime Millennium Series playmat were hugely sought after. And I adore both of them. And Andrew says, typical ginger. Oh, I mean, gotta have a little bit of that Norse blood in me for a bit of ginger. All right. I think, sir, is there anything else you'd like to say before we look to wrap up this lovely time?
I just want to say that I'm really looking forward for you to meet with the rest of the team. I'm like the most important thing actually I want to say is that I feel so blessed with the possibility to work with this amazing group of creative people and to meet them during, I think, next leaves with us.
Philippe's stealing my job from me. He's stealing my job. He's foreshadowing all the coming live streams we're going to have where you're going to talk about the app and the art and the world and your designer diary, which is going to share more in the game. Yes, I want to start thrusting all of our amazing people in the studio in front of the camera and saying, hey, meet these amazing people. So hopefully everyone in chat will take an opportunity to jump in and talk to Carolina and talk to Rafael and talk to Matthias and Tomasz and oh my God, so many people.
Yeah, so many people. It's a big project and it's a common effort. It's a teamwork. So I'm just the designer of this game, but there's a huge involvement of so many super talented and creative people, and that's the only reason that we have something really cool, I think, at the end in our hands. So
it takes a teamwork to make the dream work. Andrew finalizing saying, question, will Lucky Duck be at any cons with demos this year? So the first part is yes, we will be at Essen Spiel, all being well. We did find out that Asmodee have pulled out of that one, which is definitely a big shock to the show, but it does seem like it's going ahead, and we very much hope to be there en masse, with potentially even up to a dozen or 24 of our team visiting. So it'll be a big one for us. Whether there'll be demo tables there or not is hard to say. There are hygiene procedures in place, and they are changing quite regularly with cons week on week at the moment. But we'll be there with our games. We will be there with hopefully 2 to 3 new games, he says, hoping shipping and everything goes to plan. And that'll probably be our first big one. We will have some staff likely attending Gen Con and Origins, but we're not looking at having big booths at those, or sort of looking to involve demos, just while we continue to let the end of the pandemic play out and everybody kind of keep up to date with their hygiene and safety. And Andrew also finishes saying, thanks, Philippe. Love your enthusiasm. Can't wait for this one. That's lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, look, you've said it all. We're going to be back next Tuesday when we go live. The campaign launches on July 27th. We're going to have several live streams during the campaign, lots of chances for everybody to get involved and give feedback and chat and ask questions with many members of the team. If you haven't followed the campaign page, please do it, because you're just going to get €5 for free. And why not get €5 for free? There is the link in chat for everybody now. So from me and Philippe, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. This has been amazing. Thank you, Philippe, for joining me. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much, Huss. It was a great time.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Have a lovely, lovely time, and we shall see you
Buziaki.
soon.
Hi everyone, my name is Vincent and I'm excited to welcome you today into our Lucky Duck studio. In the past, thanks to your support, we have been able to create amazing digital hybrid games like Chronicles of Crime and Destinies. Today, I'm excited to present you our latest digital hybrid game, Divinus. In Divinus, ancient Greece is being invaded by the pantheon of Nordic gods. A fierce clash is about to begin between the gods, and a new pantheon will be formed from the ashes. The prophet Pythia foresees that one person of great power, a new Divinus, will ascend and claim a seat among the gods. Divinus is a competitive, legacy, digital hybrid board game for 2 to 4 players that features both a campaign and an infinitely replayable game mode. Every campaign scenario will start with you opening a sealed box with new quests, stickers, gods, game rules, and much more. You'll combine your dice to explore new lands, expand your demigods map, and complete quests. As you play, you'll permanently change your copy of Divinus by adding scannable stickers representing locations and characters of mythology. You'll customize your demigod with powerful artifacts and gain impressive titles for performing epic feats. Forging your dice will allow you to influence the odds and gain the most favor from the gods. The Divinus app will also remember your action, and the gods will react accordingly to those who have worshipped or wronged them. For the Divinus app, we have developed a new image recognition technology that allows you to scan components without the need for QR codes. And even after the campaign, you won't be done, as you can play endlessly with the Eternal mode, which uses the components you've altered through the campaign. We're really excited to bring Divinus to you all and can't wait for you to explore all the secrets of this epic clash of the gods.